The camera sweeps over a packed courtroom in Flagstaff, Arizona. The atmosphere is heavy, as if everyone's catching their breath, anticipating something historic to occur. On one side of the aisle, Kody Brown sits folded arms, his jaw clenched tight in quiet rebellion. Next to him, Robyn continues wiping away at her eyes with a shuddering handkerchief. Her mascara is already running, but the tears just don't let up. In the far corner of the room, Meri Brown enters. Her heels make sharp clicks on the highly polished floor, rolling off throughout the courtroom in little thunderclaps. She's not the Meri show viewers knew, reserved, patient, and forgiving. No. This Meri has lost her patience. She's taller, her eyes harder, and the envelope in her hand, that one, white, sealed envelope, weighs more than anything she's ever had to carry. The judge, a strict woman of about 60 named Judge Latham, gazes down from above. She straightens her glasses, eyeing the faces in front of her. "Mrs. Brown," she says, her tone firm but interested. "You've brought a private action against Mr. and Mrs. Brown. Before we start, may I have you summarize the nature of your claim for the record?" Meri breathes in deeply. The courtroom falls silent once more, even the journalists freeze on their keyboards. "My position," she starts, her voice trembling but growing stronger with each sentence, "is that I have been misled for years. That everything I thought was real in my marriage, in my family, was based on a falsehood." The crowd grunts. Cody's head jerks in her direction, his eyes scrutinizing. Judge Latham holds up his hand. Quiet in the court. Meri goes on, "And today, I will demonstrate that lie, with DNA evidence." Gasp waves ripple through the courtroom like a sea. Robyn has her hand over her mouth. Cody bangs his hand on the table, but his attorney seizes his arm before he can speak. Meri's attorney, Ellen Porter, is at her side, calm, confident, and measured. She sets down a second folder and glances at the judge. "Your Honor, the evidence has been cross-checked by an independent lab. We request that the results be kept sealed until all testimonies are heard." The judge nods, a gleam of curiosity in her eyes. "Granted." She turns to Cody. "Mr. Brown, do you grasp the seriousness of this charge?" Cody pushes back in his chair, his face a combination of anger and incredulity. "Your Honor," he says, his voice laced with frustration, "this is a family issue, not a public spectacle. Whatever she's alleging, it's absurd." Meri cuts in, "Ridiculous? That's what you told me when I caught you in private, Cody. But you couldn't explain the dates, could you? You couldn't tell me why the lab wanted your DNA to begin with." Robyn is now white-knuckled. She grips the edge of the table. "Meri," she beseeches softly, "please, don't do this here. We can talk." "We can," Meri cuts her off. "No, Robyn. We've talked for years. You've cried, Cody's denied, and I've stayed silent. But silence protects liars. And today, I'm done being silent." The judge's gavel taps once, controlling the rising tension. "We will proceed. Mrs. Brown, you'll have the opportunity to present your full case tomorrow morning. For now, the court will hear your opening statement." The camera focuses on Meri as she approaches the center. The light closes in on her, and the rest of the courtroom softens a bit, a filmic quiet. She scans the room, at the watchers, at her ex-sister wives sitting demurely behind her. Christine and Janelle share a look, they know something, but they're keeping it inside. Meri starts, "For years, I thought that our family was founded on faith and integrity. That every choice, every sacrifice, was for our collective future. But after some time, I began to notice things, tiny discrepancies, hints behind doors, dates that didn't add up. When Robyn entered the family, Cody vowed openness. What he did instead was create walls. And behind those walls, he created secrets." Her voice cracks on the final word, and the courtroom is aware of her pain. Cody fidgets uncomfortably, his jaw clenched. "This is hogwash," he growls. "She's just bitter." Meri turns to him, her voice smooth but cutting. "Bitter? Possibly. But bitterness does not get you DNA testing, Cody. Truth does." Judge Latham nods. That's sufficient for today. This court is adjourned until 9 a.m. tomorrow, at which time we will unseal the DNA report. But Meri doesn't budge. She's glued to the spot, looking at the closed envelope. The camera remains focused on her shaking hands, then cuts to Cody, whose bluster begins to crack. The judge leaves, and reporters advance. Meri, what is in the envelope? Is it regarding one of the children? Meri doesn't respond. She simply says, it concerns family, and the truth that Cody wouldn't confront. Outside the courthouse, the media frenzy erupts. Christine and Janelle bring up the rear, whispering to one another. Janelle whispers, she's really doing it. She's really opening that box of secrets. Christine nods, and when she does, Cody won't be able to hide anymore. Inside again, Cody bends over to Robyn. His voice is soft but sharp. We must stop this. That test shouldn't be done. Robyn speaks softly back to him, I told you. I warned you all those years ago this would come out someday. He looks at her angrily. If that test gets out, it's not just our reputation, it's our entire life that's ruined. Robyn gazes down, unshed tears rolling silently. Then perhaps, it's time for the truth. The tone of the narrator becomes more serious as the courtroom lights fade. The vacant seats, the fading echo of voices, there is a sense of a storm brewing. Meri walks to her car in strobing camera lights. She gets into the car, then hesitates, glancing at the courthouse. She speaks softly to herself, tomorrow, everything changes. The envelope rests on the passenger seat next to her, shining in the light of the street lamp. Its seal is still intact, but the harm that it will inflict has already been inscribed in the gaze of all who saw it. Cut to Cody pacing in his home later that night. He's outraged, cursing, slamming down his phone on the couch. Robyn remains in silent tears. We could have been honest with her, she says softly. We could have saved everyone this grief. Cody explodes, you think telling the truth benefits us now? You think someone is going to hear what really went down? Robyn breathes softly, maybe they should. The clock loudly ticks in the quiet. Distant thunder booms somewhere. As morning creeps into the dying night, the last shot finds Meri back outside the courthouse once more, serene, determined, and prepared. The doors swing open. The people wait. The envelope is in her hand. And then, fade to black. Morning descends over Flagstaff, bathing the courthouse in a soft golden light. But within, the air is colder than it has ever been. The benches are filled, reporters, fans, even friends of the old family, all poised for the moment when Meri Brown opens that letter. The hum of murmurs dies as the bailiff orders, all rise. Judge Latham enters, robe billowing behind her like a cloud. She sits, surveying the room. This court is now in session. Mrs. Brown, you may proceed. Meri stands. She is tired but unyielding. The envelope remains sealed, unopened. She holds it aloft for all to see. Before I open this, she says quietly, you have to know why this is important. This isn't just about DNA. This is about what you get when the truth is hidden too long, and when the people you trust make silence an instrument of power. Her voice shakes, but she keeps her eyes locked on Cody. He does not meet her gaze, instead feigning reading over his notes. Ellen, Meri's attorney, moves forward. Your Honor, prior to unsealing the document, we'd like to present supporting affidavits from Mrs. Christine Brown and Mrs. Janelle Brown. Their testimony places this evidence into context. Judge Latham nods. Continue. Christine strides forward first, serene, but clearly fidgety. She looks once at Cody, then turns away. When I initially learned about the DNA test, she says, I did not want to accept it. I believed that Meri was injured, perhaps confused. However, things fell into place. The courtroom leans forward. Christine goes on, there were moments when Robyn's youngest didn't resemble Cody much. We joked about it, but inside, Meri sensed it. And when she would question it, she was pushed away. Family meetings no longer involved her. Conversations ceased as she entered the room. And that's when she began digging. Meri looks down, blinking away tears. Christine's words cut deep, not out of malice, but out of truth. Janelle takes the stand next. Her tone is more measured, careful. I've known Cody for 30 years. He's proud, controlling, but there's something he's even better at, pretending. When Robyn joined the family, he changed. He started hiding things, new accounts, trips, excuses. And when Meri confronted him, he called her jealous. She sighs. But Meri wasn't jealous. She was right. Cody finally speaks up. He smashes his fist on the table. This is crazy. You're twisting everything. I have loved this family, all of you, enough, the judge sternly warns. You'll get your turn. Robyn glances at Cody, whispering, please stop. But he shakes his head in anger. Ellen continues, unfazed. Your Honor, we're not here to discuss emotion. We're here for facts. She walks over to a small display board and clicks a remote. Photos flash onto a screen, family moments from years past. Cody holding babies, family dinners, smiling interviews. Every one of these images was taken during the years Mrs. Brown was told to trust the family process, Ellen says. But behind the smiles, something darker was happening. Meri moves forward once more. Cody said once to me, she speaks softly, there are things you're better off not knowing. I believed he was referring to stress, or to relationships. But now I see, he meant this. The judge inclines forward slightly. Mrs. Brown, are you implying this DNA evidence concerns one of Mr. Brown's children? Meri pauses, speaking softly. Yes, Your Honor. It concerns one of Robyn's. Gasps ripple through the courtroom. Reporters start typing furiously. Robyn looks horrified and frozen, as if her whole world has just shattered in public view. Cody's face turns red with anger. You've gone too far, Meri, he snaps. This isn't about truth, it's revenge. Meri's eyes blaze. Revenge? You expect I spent years crying, questioning myself, falling apart just to seek revenge? No, Cody. I spent those years trying to believe you. Trying to defend a family you already destroyed. The judge holds up her hand. That's enough. We'll open the envelope after a brief recess. Court will adjourn in 20 minutes. The action now moves into the hallway outside the courtroom. Christine and Janelle stand there together, whispering. Christine exhales, I think she's right. I think Cody knew. Janelle shakes her head slowly. He's been keeping something from us. I just didn't think it would go this far. Meanwhile, Cody and Robyn sit in a corner, they and their attorney. Cody's whisper is bitter, frantic. We can't let the test be read. We can declare it invalid. There are ways, Robyn shakes her head. Stop, Cody. Just stop. You think I haven't borne this guilt? You think I wanted any of this? He glares at her, bewildered. Guilt? What do you mean guilt? Robyn looks away, tears spilling down her cheeks. You'll see soon enough. The camera lingers on Cody's stunned face as the sound fades into a heartbeat. Back inside, the judge returns, tapping her gavel once. Bring the courtroom to order. Meri moves forward once more, holding the envelope as if it's her sole lifeline. She glances out at the crowd of faces, the cameras, the public, her erstwhile family. And then she glances at Robyn. I didn't want to do this to you, she leans forward and whispers. But you gave me no choice. The judge waves a hand. Mrs. Brown, open the document. The room is dead silent. You hear the rip of paper as the envelope is opened. Meri's hands shake, her eyes moving over the page. Her breath is stuck in her throat. The judge says, Mrs. Brown, would you please read the results out loud? Meri's mouth opens, but the words struggle to get out. The DNA indicates a 99.9% likelihood that Cody Brown is not the biological father of Robyn's youngest child. Gasps. Tears. Flashbulbs. The courtroom erupts into chaos. Robyn slumps into her chair, crying helplessly. Cody freezes, his complexion pale and vacant. For the very first time, the man who never lacked an answer, does. Ellen goes on strongly, Your Honor, the second segment of the report establishes the biological match. The father is, she pauses, looking at Meri. Meri closes her eyes, her head bobbing up and down. Say it. Ellen gazes down at the page. The biological father is legally listed as David Barber. A stunned hush. Nobody says anything. Then Christine whispers, David, wasn't that Meri's ex-boyfriend years ago, before the show? Meri slowly nods, her eyes brimming with tears. He was, and somehow, they kept it from me. The judge glances between them. Are you proposing Mr. Barber and Mrs. Robyn Brown had a prior relationship? Meri shakes her head once more. Before she became involved with Cody. And after she became part of us. The tension is intolerable. Robyn sobs, it was before. It was years before. I didn't know he was still involved with you, Meri, I swear. Cody speaks to her, voice cracking. You lied to me. You told me that baby was mine, Robyn. Robyn yells back, because you wanted it that way. You wanted the picture-perfect family. The judge slams her gavel again. Order. Order in this court. The damage is done, though. The truth is revealed. The cameras are blindingly flashing, security is fighting to restore order. Meri silently witnesses it all come crashing down. For years, she was the quiet one. The loyal one. The one who stayed. Now, watching Cody and Robyn rip each other limb from limb, she gets it, silence was never peace. It was captivity. Ellen puts a hand on her shoulder. We did what we came to do, she whispers. Meri nods, her voice little more than a whisper. No, this is just the beginning. Judge Latham adjourns again, voice ringing out through the courtroom. Court will reconvene tomorrow to consider the legal ramifications of this revelation. As individuals surge out of the courtroom, Christine and Janelle move towards Meri. Christine embraces her. You were strong, she says. You did what none of us could do. Meri insists on a small, exhausted smile. Bravery isn't about being strong, she says softly. It's about being tired of pretending it lasts. Outside, it starts raining. Reporters mob the courthouse steps. The crowd chants, cameras flash, questions are asked, but Meri won't answer. She makes her way slowly down the steps, cradling the now open envelope in her hand, eyes brimming but firm. She fades into the fog, and the camera holds on the courthouse behind her, filled with voices, heartache, and truth. The courthouse the next morning is a different place. The air is thicker, the reporters more raucous, and all the camera lenses facing the double doors through which the Browns will soon pass. Last night's bombshell, that Cody is not the father of Robyn's youngest child, has exploded and spread faster than wildfire. All the Flagstaff to Los Angeles news outlets are reporting on what they're dubbing the sister wives scandal that rocked reality TV. Within, security officers keep watch as murmurs shake the courtroom. Fans, critics, and strangers alike have come to see the consequences. Christine and Janelle sit quietly in row 2, shifting restive glances. Robyn's attorney speaks quietly with her, but she seems stunned, her eyes puffy and red, her hands folded tightly together in what looks like a prayer that this is all a bad dream. Meri comes in last. She moves with yesterday's slow resolve, the kind of calm after the storm. She does not look at Cody. She does not need to. The truth is already between them, lying like an open wound that will not heal. The bailiff cries out, all rise. Judge Latham enters, her expression inscrutable. She sits, putting on her glasses. Court is now in session. Yesterday's testimony brought to light some very important information that alters the nature of these proceedings. Today, we will be dealing with the validity and implications of the DNA results submitted by Mrs. Brown. She pauses, looking around the room. And, if needed, we will be hearing new witnesses. Ellen, Meri's lawyer, stands. Your Honor, the DNA results are certified and verified by an independent forensic laboratory in Phoenix. The test was supervised and documented. There is no dispute about its validity. Cody's attorney, a tall individual by the name of Mr. Carrington, rises up. Your Honor, although we accept the outcome, we're challenging the context. We feel Mrs. Brown's actions were driven by emotion, an invasion of privacy intended to embarrass Mr. and Mrs. Brown in public. Meri sits quietly, gazing at Cody. This was never about humiliation, she whispers. It was about truth. The truth you made me feel crazy for even asking about. Judge Latham nods. Understood. Mrs. Brown, please tell the court what prompted you to order this DNA test. Meri stands up slowly, holding her breath. Her voice is low but firm. A few years back, I began to notice things, unusual timelines, inconsistencies in stories. Robyn getting pregnant occurred at a time that did not coincide with what Cody shared with us. I wanted to believe him, but when small deceptions become the norm, large ones rear their ugly heads. Then one night, while cleaning old paperwork, I found something, a medical receipt in Robyn's name, with a different last name, dated months before she and Cody officially announced their relationship. Gasps fill the courtroom. Robyn covers her mouth, shaking her head. That's not true. Meri interrupts serenely. It's true. I checked it out. And that's when I requested the test. Not to reveal you, Robyn, but because I owed myself the truth about what my life had actually been. The courtroom is still. Even Cody remains motionless. The judge leans in. And when you got the news? Meri swallows. It didn't surprise me. It shattered me. But it didn't surprise me. Her voice breaks a little. Because in my heart, I already knew the answer. Ellen moves forward once more. Your Honor, we have new evidence, a tape of Mrs. Robyn Brown's phone call with Mr. David Barber 2 months ago. The courtroom gasps again. The judge's brow furrows. Go on. A tiny speaker is set down on the table. Ellen plays it. Robyn's voice rings out across the room, shaking, upset. David, please. You can't tell anyone. Cody doesn't know the truth, he can't. He'll ruin everything if he finds out. Then a man's voice, firm but regretful. Robyn, he has the right to know. You can't go on pretending forever. You don't see, Robyn weeps. He's not the same man. If he knows, it won't just destroy us. It'll destroy her too. The clip finishes. The room is absolutely silent. The air is thick. Judge Latham takes a slow breath. Mrs. Brown, she says to Robyn, would you like to have something to say about this recording? Robyn's voice shakes. I didn't mean to lie. I just wanted a working family. Cody was my opportunity for stability, to have something real. I was afraid that if he found out, he'd leave. And I thought, if I just buried it, maybe it would all just disappear. She begins to cry hysterically. Cody, face red with anger, scowls at her. You used me, he growls, baring his teeth. You used my name to create your ideal life. You embarrassed me. Robyn shakes her head. No, Cody. I loved you. But you wanted control, not love. You led me to believe truth was weakness. The judge slams her gavel. Enough. This court is not going to devolve into a shouting contest. Ellen goes on. Your Honor, my client has nothing further to say at present. We merely ask for recognition of the truth and protection from any form of retaliation. Cody's attorney, visibly upset, stands. Your Honor, we ask the court to dismiss any defamation claims. While the emotional distress is obvious, there is no wrongdoing under law established. Judge Latham nods slowly. The court will take that motion into consideration later. Meanwhile, we have to get one more thing cleared up, the timeline of this fraud. She looks at Robyn. When did you find out Cody was not the biological father? Robyn's face is white, her lips shaking. Before the baby was born, she whispers. Gasps ring out again. Cody appears to have been hit in the stomach. Before, he bellows. You let me hold that child, name that child, and let the world believe it was mine. Robyn cries even harder. You wanted it, Cody. You wanted the picture of the ideal father, the spiritual guy who could head a family. I gave it to you because I thought it would preserve us. Cody rises, trembling with anger. The bailiff moves in, prepared to step in. Meri's voice pierces the pandemonium, soft, but intense. And while you two played house, she speaks, I prayed, I begged, I stayed, for a marriage that was built on lies. Her words fill the room with silence. Even the judge appears to be shaken. Judge Latham clears her throat. This court is cognizant of the emotional significance of this case. The legal dynamics involving custody, paternity, and possible fraud will be considered. She fixes her gaze on Cody. Mr. Brown, you will be given the chance to reply tomorrow. But before we recess, I would like to comment on the public record. The judge hunches forward, voice hard but kind. Families founded on faith, secrecy, and manipulation tend to forget one little thing: truth doesn't vanish. It bides its time. And when it comes, it insists upon being heard. The room is silent. Meri glances down, quietly weeping. Robyn cries into her palms. Cody's face grows hard, a man forced into confronting reality. Outside, thunder growls in the distance once again. Flashing cameras and news crews scramble to get the breaking news. Christine and Janelle accompany Meri out of the courtroom. Christine breathes softly, you did it. It's all out now. Meri slowly shakes her head. No. The truth is out, but justice isn't. The camera zooms in on her face, fatigued but fierce, shattered but unbreakable. Tomorrow, Cody speaks, she says softly. And that's when everything we thought we knew will change again. The fourth day of the trial breaks with its weight of expectation. The media arrive in hordes around the courthouse, their cameras fixed upon the large wooden doors that have become the focal point of one of the most astounding reality TV scandals in recent history. The blur of headlines across every screen yells, Cody Brown breaks his silence today. Inside the courtroom, it is a pressure cooker ready to burst. There is an electric atmosphere, filled with hushed whispers, tension, and an odd combination of curiosity and sympathy. Everyone is aware that this is Cody's day to talk. Everyone is waiting to see if he will fight, confess, or break down. The judge comes in, unruffled as always, her face inscrutable. Court is now in session, she declares sternly. Mr. Brown, you may come forward. Cody stands unsteadily. His face is white, his jaw clenched. He tugs at his tie, a movement more habit than self-assurance, and approaches the witness stand. All the camera lenses turn to him. The man who used to refer to himself as a spiritual leader now resembles a soldier going to war with no armor remaining. He puts his hand on the Bible, takes the oath, and sits. The silence is stunned. Judge Latham starts, Mr. Brown, you've heard the testimonies and examined the DNA results affirming that you are not the biological father of Mrs. Robyn Brown's youngest child. The court is offering you a chance to speak to these findings and the accusations made against you. Cody lets out a deep sigh. Thank you, Your Honor. He glances out over the courtroom, his gaze sweeping over the faces, Christine, Janelle, Robyn, and at last, Meri. His voice begins smoothly but with a tempest brewing beneath. I know the world is waiting, he starts. I know that everybody wants to watch me fail, to watch me be the bad guy of my own narrative. And perhaps I am. But I must have my say, even if it ruins the reputation that is left to me. Cody's hands grip each other tightly as he pauses. When I came into contact with Robyn, I was already broken. My marriage to Meri was not doing well, Christine had begun questioning everything, and Janelle had emotionally checked out. I felt like a failure, as a husband, a man, a father. And then Robyn entered my world, and for the first time in years, I was alive. He glances over at Robyn, his eyes full of love and resentment. She was kind, gentle, understanding, everything I thought I'd lost in my previous marriages. I didn't care about the specifics, the timelines, or the gossip. I just wanted to believe in something again. So when she told me she was pregnant, I didn't ask questions. The courtroom stirs. Even Robyn's lawyer looks uncomfortable. Judge Latham interrupts gently, "Mr. Brown, are you saying you had doubts?" Cody slowly nods. "Yes, Your Honor. I doubted. Deep down inside, I knew there were things that didn't add up, the dates, the distance, the way she dodged certain questions. But I suppressed them. I decided to believe the lie because it made life simpler. Because telling the truth would be admitting that I'd constructed my entire world upon sand." Ellen, Meri's attorney, stands up. "Mr. Brown, respectfully, you're saying that you accepted a lie knowing full well it wasn't true in order to maintain your reputation?" Cody glares at her. "No. I accepted a lie to preserve what was left of my family." Ellen does not relent. "Even if that meant betraying Meri, Christine, and Janelle?" His voice grows louder. "You believe I wanted this? You believe I enjoyed seeing my family disintegrate? Day after day, I struggled to keep something together that was already in shreds. I became the adhesive, the anchor, and perhaps the chain that sank everyone." He hunches forward, shaking. "I was not perfect. I lied, I controlled, I failed. But I did it because I believed that is what leadership was. I believed love was never letting go, no matter how hard everyone begged for freedom." There's a long silence. Meri glances at him, tears shining in her eyes, not sympathy, but the sort of sadness you feel when you suddenly see a person for who they are after playing make-believe for so long. She speaks, barely audible, "You didn't lead, Cody. You trapped us." The judge raps her gavel softly. "Order." Cody looks back at her, his voice cracking. "Maybe I did. But I didn't lie about everything. I didn't fake my faith. I didn't fake wanting to build something eternal." He turns back toward Robyn. "But you knew." Robyn winces. Cody's tone deepens. "You knew that child wasn't mine. You informed me I was the father, and I had believed you, because I wanted to believe you. You allowed me to hold that baby, raise that baby, love that baby, and now you're telling me it was a lie?" Robyn bursts into tears. "It wasn't being staged, Cody. I was afraid. You were already letting everyone down. I thought if we had something genuine, you'd hold on." Cody's voice drops, heavy with anguish. "You didn't give me something real, Robyn. You gave me a reason to keep lying, to myself, to them, to the world." The courtroom is quiet. Each word is weighted, each admission a brick tumbling from a crumbling tower. Judge Latham clears her throat. "Mr. Brown, in your own words, how do you take responsibility for what's happened?" Cody sighs, slumping his shoulders. "By owning up to how I failed, not only as a husband, but as a man who got control mixed up with care. I let pride rule. I weaponized faith. I convinced these women that I was God-ordained, when actually, I was only afraid of being alone." He hesitates, voice trembling. "And now I'm precisely that, alone." Ellen nods slowly. "Your Honor, I have no further questions. But I believe the court, and possibly the public, deserves an explanation of what Mr. Brown intends to do now that the truth has been revealed. What does he intend to do?" Cody gazes down for a moment. Then he stares squarely at the camera, the same camera that used to record him as the self-assured, beaming father of sister wives. He whispers, "I don't know what the show will do. I don't know if anyone will ever forgive me. But I'm done pretending. I'm done playing the hero. I'm not that man anymore." He again falls silent, his voice cracking. "If my kids ever lay eyes on this, I want them to understand, I loved you. Even when I didn't know how to. Even when I screwed everything up trying to guard nothing." The room is quiet. Even the reporters have ceased typing. Judge Latham slowly inclines his head. "Mr. Brown, thank you for your candor. The court will meet again tomorrow for closing statements and rulings on custody and reputation issues. You are free until then. Cody rises. But rather than moving directly to the door, he faces Meri. Their eyes finally meet after all these years, truly meet. He breathes quietly, "I'm sorry." Meri's eyes sparkle, but her face is serene. "You're not apologizing for what you did," she murmurs. "You're sorry that you finally have to live with it." She passes him by, her head held high, as Robyn collapses in the background. Cody freezes. The man who had been at the head of 4 wives now stands completely alone in a room surrounded by the specters of his own choices. The doors shut on Meri, the camera goes black, but first catches one final shot, Cody, sitting alone in the vacant courtroom, gazing at the chair Robyn used to occupy, muttering a single word into the silence, "Why?" The screen fades into a title card. The morning of the ultimate verdict is like the conclusion of a stormy, long, and agonizing storm. The courthouse, which was earlier abuzz with noise and camera clicks, now lies hauntingly silent. The atmosphere is oppressive, that stifling quiet before the words of truth are uttered out loud. Reporters whisper speculation, as Sister Wives fans worldwide listen, holding their breath for the ultimate ruling that will determine not just a case, but the destiny of a family once revered on TV. Within the courtroom, the familiar faces of the series gather again for the last time. Meri is seated at the front, serene and composed, her hands neatly folded in her lap. Christine and Janelle sit behind her, silent support in a tempest they've long fled but can't help witnessing. Robyn comes in next, pale face, bloodshot eyes from yet another night without sleep. And then Cody, no longer the self-assured patriarch of a television dynasty, but a man clearly worn by regret, scandal, and the heavy burden of his own decisions. The judge enters and takes her seat. The sound of the gavel hitting the bench echoes like thunder through the silent room. "This court is now in session," she says firmly. Ellen, Meri's lawyer, rises to give her final statement. "Your Honor, this isn't just a case about DNA or deception. It's about years of emotional manipulation, betrayal, and the abuse of trust under the disguise of faith. Mrs. Brown has borne this pain in silence, as the world has assumed an account of love and unity. What this case teaches is that truth, however long buried, always comes to the surface." The courtroom is on the edge of every word. Meri casts her eyes down, tears shining in them but unbroken. Ellen continues, "We're not here to destroy reputations. We're here to free a woman who has been emotionally imprisoned for far too long. Mrs. Brown deserves peace, and justice is the only key that can unlock it." She addresses Cody, her tone softer but insistent. "For decades, you spoke of love, equality, and faith. But you lived control, favoritism, and fear. Today, we seek this court to acknowledge not only the deception spoken, but the lives damaged along the way." She takes a seat. The silence hangs heavily. Even the click of pens or papers rustling sounds too intrusive. Then Cody's attorney stands, a man obviously cognizant that the battle has already been lost in the public's eyes. He sighs and whispers, "Your Honor, my client acknowledges his shortcomings. He acknowledges his dishonesty, his pride, and his willingness to let his own frailties hurt others. But he also asks this court to take into account his humanity. This was not a deed of malice, but of fear, the fear of losing all that he thought he had gained." He glances over at Cody, who is blankly staring at the table. He has lost the respect of the public, the love of his family, and the reputation of the man he believed he was. There isn't a court sentence more severe than that. The judge leans forward, her voice steady but powerful. "I have heard attentively from both sides. This court recognizes the pain, the betrayal, and the harm that years of secrecy have inflicted. The DNA results have established that Mr. Brown is not the biological father of Mrs. Robyn Brown's youngest child. The lie about that fact has been one of emotional distress and public harm." She stops, staring straight at Cody. "Mr. Brown, you may have tried to save your reputation, but in so doing, you ruined trust. You established a foundation of faith, but it was an empty one. You governed a family with words of love, but dominated with fear. The harm cannot be reversed, only embraced." Cody weakly nods, his eyes welling up with tears. Judge Latham goes on, regarding Mrs. Meri Brown, the court recognizes her courage, her determination, and her seeking after truth. This is not a matter of personal justice, but the symbolic closure of a relationship founded on imbalance and control. The court finds in favor of Mrs. Brown. A soft gasp echoes through the room. Meri closes her eyes, not out of triumph, but relief. A single tear escapes, not of sadness, but of release. The judge addresses Robyn next. Mrs. Robyn Brown, your actions have been very hurtful. But this court understands that fear can lead individuals to make decisions they will later regret. You will not be punished criminally, however, the emotional fallout from your decisions will linger long after this courtroom is empty. Robyn nods, crying, I understand. As the judge signs the papers, the courtroom catches its breath again. Cameras flash. Reporters dash to the door. But Meri stays in her seat. Her eyes are on Cody, the man she used to think she'd spend forever with. He looks at her finally, his voice barely audible. So that's it? After all this is how it ends? Meri stands, her tone gentle but firm. No, Cody. This is how it begins. For the first time in my life, I'm free from your version of love. Her words cut through the air, soft but powerful, the sound of a woman reclaiming her life. Christine leans toward Janelle and murmurs, she finally did it. Janelle nods. She finally saw him for what he is. Cody attempts to speak, but his voice cracks. Meri, I didn't mean, she cuts him off. You meant every word, Cody. You meant every silence. Every guilt trip. Every manipulation. You just never thought I'd stop believing you were the man God sent me. She grabs her bag and starts walking to the door. The camera's behind her, but she doesn't glance back. With each step, there's an echo of chains falling away. Robyn gets up, sobbing. Meri, please. I didn't mean to hurt you. Meri stands still for a moment, cocking her head ever so slightly, and says, then why? There's no reply. Only the distant crying of a woman who finally has to confront herself. Outside the courthouse, the madness reasserts itself. Reporters yell questions, fans brandish signs, flashes blind her vision. But Meri pushes through it all as if she's pushing through smoke, unscathed, unruffled, unbeaten. One reporter screams, Meri, what do you have to say to your fans watching today? She pauses, gazes directly into the cameras, her voice firm and unflinching. I want to say to every woman who's ever felt trapped, by love, by faith, by fear, that you don't require permission to leave. You simply need courage. I waited years for someone to free me. I didn't know it had to be me. The audience is silent. The words hang in the air, more potent than any decision could ever possibly be. She walks away, the courthouse doors closing on her, the sun finally penetrating clouds above. Cody emerges moments later, flanked by cameras, but alone as can be. No wives, no family, no forgiveness. Only a man standing in the ashes of his own destruction. He glances down at his hands, the same hands that held 4 women, for families, for promises. And for the first time, they seem hollow. He speaks softly, perhaps this is what I deserve. Robyn walks out behind him, her purse grasped tightly, evading the cameras. She doesn't glance at him. She simply continues walking. 2 lost souls, once bonded by terror, now divided by truth. The courthouse recedes behind them, and the voiceover grows softer. Meri Brown didn't prevail in a lawsuit. She reclaimed herself. After years of silence, she discovered her voice in a forum made for truth, a courtroom. And at times, that's where true healing starts. And as for Cody, his empire of faith and family fell apart, not due to others turning against him, but because he remembered that love without truth isn't faith, it's fiction. The camera pans up, and Meri moves into the sunlight, escaping the shadow of a life that no longer claims her. Then the screen goes black, but only after one last voiceover line.